My best friend and I married the Bailey twins, who were in vegetative states, for £30 million each. She married the older brother, while I married the younger one. Every day, we sat by their hospital beds, munching on crisps. They really do look identical, I mused. She nodded. I wonder if everything else is the same too, like below. My eyes lit up. Shall we have a peek? She hesitated. Come on, I urged, we're their lawful wives. What's the harm? A year later. In the hospital room, one of the patients turned his head slightly and opened his mouth. Bro, should we wake up or not? If you wake, I'll wake. Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. The news of the Bailey twins becoming comatose after a car accident spread like wildfire. Ms. Bailey, who had her sons late in life, was heartbroken. Doctors and even Taoists all took the stage, but it was all in vain. As it happened, my best friend and I, one is a doctor and the other a Taoist priestess. Even if they never wake up, I can't let my boys go through life without a woman. Ms. Bailey cried. I immediately volunteered. Ms. Bailey, if you're looking for wives for them, Dr. Joanna and I would be perfect candidates. Oh. You see, if we marry your sons, we'd naturally take the best care of them and do everything possible to wake them up. After my persuasive speech, my best friend and I married into the Bailey family. Ms. Bailey declared, you'll divorce in 3 years. If they don't wake up, you'll get £30 million. If they do, you'll get £300 million. I smiled. They'll definitely wake up, definitely. In private, I calculated with my best friend. £30 million split between us is still £5 million a year. Where else could we find such a good job? Joanna nodded, giving me a thumbs up. Lehman and Justin Bailey were sleeping soundly. Joanna and I were idly munching on crisps out of boredom. It's good to be rich, I said, pointing at the fruit nearby. Joanna, guess how much that bunch of green grapes costs? £80? Joanna ventured. No, £800. Joanna gasped in shock. Both Joanna and I had grown up in orphanages and weren't used to such displays of wealth. According to Ms. Bailey's requirements, we had to spend 10 hours a day in the hospital room. There was also a strict rule, no playing with mobile phones or computers. Every day, we could only chat, eat crisps, and guess prices. It was quite comfortable, though. We had food and drink, and professional staff handled the nursing work. 3 months flew by in a blink. I stared at the 2 handsome brothers on the bed. Joanna, these 2 really look exactly the same, don't they? Joanna nodded. Do you think everything's the same, down there too? My eyes lit up with excitement. Shall we have a look? Is that okay? What's wrong with it? You look at the older brother, I'll look at the younger one. We're their legally registered wives, what's wrong with checking out our own husbands? But how can we compare if we're each looking at a different one? Her question was crucial. I found 2 tape measures. One for me, one for Joanna. We were both busy under the covers. I stood up. 7 inches. Joanna also stood up, her face flushed bright red. 7 inches as well. I widened my eyes. Wow, exactly the same. My best friend's face was crimson with embarrassment. I sighed. Why are you so shy? You're a doctor. You've seen plenty of patients and models. Joanna shook her head. This is different. I tried to understand but couldn't. Still, I nodded in agreement. All right then. I looked at Justin on the bed and giggled. This was my first time seeing a man like this. Suddenly, I thought I saw Justin's lips twitch. It looked like he was smiling. I whipped my head around to face my friend. Joanna! I think this lad just smiled. Joanna rushed over and after a thorough examination, she turned to me. He hasn't woken up. It's just your imagination. I nodded nervously, feeling a bit disappointed. We were so close to turning 30 million into 300 million. Joanna was equally disappointed as she sat down and started eating some crisps. I joined her. Do you think they can hear us talking? It's possible. What if they wake up and know what we just did? Joanna patted my hand. Don't worry, they won't wake up. Why not? International experts have consulted dozens of times and all concluded they won't wake up. What are you afraid of? But I still felt uneasy. I stood obediently by Justin's bed. Don't be angry, okay? I was just curious earlier when I measured. If you think it's unfair, I can tell you my bra size. It's 36D. The hospital room was quiet. Joanna and I finished our shift at 5 p.m. sharp. What we didn't know was that after we left, the two men on the hospital beds opened their eyes. Justin looked at his brother. Bro, I'm actually 7.5 inches. Lehman turned to adjust his stiff body. Saw it off. Something's not right. Something's very off. I paced around the hospital bed, wringing my hands. According to my calculations, they should have woken up by now. And Justin smiled yesterday, I muttered. Joanna was reading a medical book. She looked at me with exasperation. Lorna, it's normal for coma patients to smile while dreaming. They can even have morning erections. My eyes widened. Morning erections. Curiosity surged, and I lifted Justin's blanket. My gaze went straight to his lower regions. Nothing, completely flat. Too flat. I turned to Joanna. He doesn't have one. Is he impotent? Joanna put her hand to her forehead. I wasn't sure, so I said, go check Lehman, see if he has one. I'm not going to do that. Why not? I'm certain he can. How do you know? Joanna blushed and didn't answer. After my repeated prodding, she finally mumbled, I saw it yesterday. You sneaked a peek without telling me. I was shocked. Joanna had always been shy and proper. Who would have thought? Truly unexpected. Joanna seemed to want to say more but held back, her face getting redder. I looked down at Justin beside me. His lips seemed to twitch. On the bed next to him, Lehman's ears appeared to be turning red. I rubbed my eyes, making sure I wasn't seeing things. To confirm my suspicions, I asked Joanna, love, do coma patients dodge when you tickle them? A soft feather tickled Justin's nose, palms, soles, and waist. No reaction. He was like a wooden board. I handed the feather to Joanna, try it on your husband. Joanna stood up and started tickling under my supervision. Lehman frowned, as if having a nightmare, his expression pained. Joanna stopped, let's quit. If Miss Bailey does a surprise check, we're done for. I suddenly remembered. There was a camera in the corner of the hospital room. Trembling, I turned, oh no, there's a camera. Joanna froze, her eyes wide. We're finished. We're in trouble. Miss Bailey was famously protective of her sons. If she saw us treating her comatose sons like this, she'd surely cause trouble. Sure enough, not long after, Miss Bailey came in her high heels. Her face contorted with anger. You two, go clean the manor for a week. Think about what you've done. As security dragged us away, I felt resentful. Because I saw Justin smirk again. In the hospital room. Justin slowly sat up, sneezing several times. He turned to his brother. Lehman, Lorna's going to be the death of me. What should I do? Lehman rubbed his nose too, he had almost blown his cover. He looked at his younger brother with a hint of resentment. It's your wife, why ask me? Justin was silent, then asked Lehman, did Joanna really peek? Lehman turned away, not answering. You know, I never thought Joanna would do something like that. She seems so ladylike. It's all your wife's bad influence. What's it got to do with my Lorna? She's so well behaved. Justin immediately frowned, displeased. The protective instinct was clearly hereditary. Miss Bailey looked at her two sons, rolled her eyes in exasperation, and left to go shopping. After that, in the hospital room, Joanna and I behaved ourselves. Joanna read books every day, while I snacked on crisps and sweets. Since the marriage contract took effect, I hadn't been in contact with the outside world for a year. Forget about mobile phones and computers, I hadn't even seen a television. For a year, I'd been harboring doubts. Normally, coma patients need catheters, but these twins didn't. No matter how much nutrition they received, their bodies should have gradually wasted away. But they hadn't. They were robust and healthy, and you could even feel their muscles. I suspected they got up at night to exercise. Unfortunately, I had no evidence or reason to prove it. But if they were really awake, why would they lie in bed for an entire year? For what purpose? After pondering, I said, Joanna, do you think they don't want to give us the 300 million pounds? I whispered in her ear. We've suspected these two brothers were already awake. In fact, there's quite a bit of evidence to prove it. If they're actually awake, why are they pretending to be in a coma? There's only one reason: they don't want to give us the 300 million pounds. TSK, the Bailey Group is worth several hundred billion. And to save the 300 million, these two brothers are pretending to be in a coma. I shared my thoughts with Joanna. Joanna nodded, stroking her chin. That makes sense. After further discussion with Joanna, I stood by the hospital bed and said, Mr. Lehman and Mr. Justin, I know you're both awake. I also know you don't want to give us 300 million pounds. Indeed, we haven't done much, and it doesn't feel right to take so much money. How about this? You don't need to pretend anymore. Let's stick to what's written in the contract, 30 million pounds, and then we'll divorce. What do you say? The handsome men on the bed didn't react. I continued to persuade them earnestly. I urged them to be more open-minded and not so stingy. 30 million pounds was just a drop in the ocean for them. So what difference would it make if they gave it to us? Still no movement. That afternoon at 5 o'clock, Joanna and I finished our shift. In the hospital room, the two brothers opened their eyes. Lehman, should we wake up or not? If you wake up, I'll wake up. If we wake up, we'll have to divorce. What should we do? Lorna still thinks I'm too stingy to wake up. She thinks I'm reluctant to give her 30 million pounds. My image in her heart is crumbling. Justin became increasingly upset as he spoke, sitting on the edge of the bed, tears falling. Lehman closed his eyes, speechless. Say less. We still have unfinished work at the company. Justin thought about the day's worth of accumulated work and felt utterly dejected. The two brothers looked up at the window, both inwardly sighing. When will this ever end? After a long while, Justin spoke up. Lehman, I have an idea. Justin woke up, but his mind was gone. His mental capacity had regressed to that of a 6-year-old. Apart from his mother, he only recognized me. When he hugged me and called me his baby wife, I nearly fainted. Has he really lost his mind? I couldn't believe it. Miss Bailey was crying her eyes out, on the verge of collapsing. Justin, tall and long-legged, was now sitting on the floor in his hospital gown, eating a lollipop. He looked up at me with an innocent expression. Baby, do you want some? He offered me his half-eaten lollipop. I'd rather not. You're disgusted by me, boo-hoo, baby doesn't like me anymore. Big tears started rolling down Justin's cheeks. My head was spinning. Good Lord, what was happening? Joanna was also stunned. After a thorough examination, she discovered that Justin had a cerebral hematoma, which had indeed affected his intelligence. Lorna, he's really impaired, she said, shocked. I calculated with my fingers, only to find that I didn't know when I had fallen into a love crisis. This was bad. I looked down at Justin. Surely he couldn't be the cause of my love crisis? Baby, why aren't you comforting me? Justin sobbed. His big, watery eyes gazed up at me. I trembled, taking a deep breath. I turned to Ms. Bailey. He's awake now. Can I leave? Ms. Bailey cried even louder. Mother and son were now wailing in unison. On the adjacent hospital bed, Lehman still lay with his eyes closed. The hospital room was in utter chaos. Justin and I were brought back to the Bailey residence. Ms. Bailey wiped away her tears. When I was young, I focused on building my career. I only had the boys through IVF later in life, and they don't have a father. Now Justin has you, she said. Lorna Miller, I've transferred the promised 30 million pounds to your account. Justin has just woken up. Would you mind looking after him for a bit longer? Don't worry, I'll make it worth your while. I love rich women. Ms. Bailey offered £300 million for a year. I assured her I could look after Justin until he was 6 feet under. So this is what they call a love crisis. Justin wasn't in a good state and became very clingy. He stayed by my side constantly, even insisting on holding me while sleeping. For the sake of the £300 million, I dutifully played the role of his pillow. I just didn't know how Joanna was doing. Ms. Bailey still wouldn't give us access to phones, computers, or television, cutting us off from the outside world. I couldn't even chat with Joanna. "Baby, why aren't you looking at me?" Justin whined pitifully. This 6-foot-tall man curled up on the sofa, nuzzling into my arms. I stroked his fluffy short hair. "I am looking at you, see? My eyes are glued to you, all right? Okay." Justin was handsome and adorable. My heart couldn't help but flutter. However, after 3 months of this, I noticed something was amiss. Every night, after I fell asleep, Justin would secretly get up and go to the study. He would also sneak kisses while I slept, thinking I was unaware. In fact, as his stolen kisses became more intense, it became difficult to ignore the marks on my body. Click! The bedroom door was gently pushed open, and Justin tiptoed out stealthily. I slowly got out of bed, holding my breath as I followed behind. The study door was ajar. Justin was inside, making a phone call. "Lehman, how's it going on your end?" I couldn't hear the voice on the other end of the line. I could only make out Justin's smug replies. "I'm doing great, Lorna's falling more in love with me every day. But this can't go on forever, she's treating me like a child now." Huh? Didn't I tell you to be persistent? You've locked her up? Why? So, she really remembers everything now? She still wants a divorce? What should I do? I'm a bit scared. Scared that when Lorna remembers, she'll want a divorce too. The more I listened, the more unsettling it became. Locked up? Who was locked up? A flash of realization hit me. I forcefully pushed open the study door, my face flushed with anger. "Let Joanna go." Justin froze on the spot. He stared at me, his pupils trembling, barely able to hold his mobile phone. As it wobbled in his hand, he accidentally hit the speakerphone button. A male voice, identical to Justin's, came through. I think I heard Lorna's voice. Justin's Adam's apple bobbed as he struggled to speak. I swiftly snatched the phone, gritting my teeth. "Lehman, where have you locked Joanna? Let her go. This is between us. It's illegal." "Shut up." Lehman's tone was flat, his attitude poor. Justin immediately snapped back to reality, grabbing the phone angrily. "Lehman, what's with that attitude? How can you speak to Lorna like that?" Lehman paused for a moment. "Keep your wife in check. Release Joanna." I was both furious and worried. My mind couldn't process anything else, focused solely on Joanna's safety. Lehman remained calm. "I haven't locked her up." "I don't believe you." "Let her speak." I wanted to reach through the phone and tear Lehman's mouth apart. The sound of slow footsteps came through the phone. Then an iron door was pulled open, and the male voice spoke a few muffled, low words. A familiar female voice then came through. "Lorna, I'm fine." I was on the verge of tears. From the orphanage until now, Joanna and I had never been apart. She had always been gentle yet strong, tolerating and doting on me. They said they locked you up." "How can you be fine?" I choked up, not believing it. "I chose to stay here myself." "They haven't locked me up." "Is Lehman threatening you from the side?" "No." Joanna paused, then continued. "Lorna, we have children, did you know?" "What?" Joanna explained that she was voluntarily staying with Lehman to be with their child. She said her child was 3 years old, named Joe Bailey. My child was the same age, named Emma Bailey. A boy and a girl. But we're only 21. How can we have 3-year-old children?" I stammered, unable to process the information. "Lorna, we're actually 26 years old." "We just forgot," Joanna said softly. "We were the ones in the car accident." I sat on the edge of the bed, unable to calm myself for a long time. Joanna said that after our car accident, we both lost our memories, only remembering things from before we were 21. Our memories had a gap, and we even lost the memory of waking up in the hospital. We only remembered that 5 years ago. The Bailey twins had become comatose after a car accident. Back then, Lehman and Justin Bailey had indeed been in a coma. But they woke up after just 3 months. And while Joanna and I were taking care of them, we developed feelings for each other. I must say, Justin understood me well. He had Miss Bailey say she wanted to find wives for them. I immediately took the bait. I originally thought, following the doctor's advice, that recreating the scene would help you remember, but it didn't. Justin said, kneeling in front of me and carefully holding my hand. He was testing me, and seeing that I didn't resist, he looked much more at ease. So you two were lying there for a year? I asked, half believing. We were going to wake up after 3 months. But my brother didn't want to, Justin replied. Why? He was conflicted. He was afraid of Joanna recovering her memories, but also afraid of her not recovering. And being emotionally inept, he couldn't think of any other solution. So he just kept lying there. This lying down lasted for a year. According to Justin, every day at 5 o'clock when Joanna and I finished work, he and Lehman would get up and work. After finishing the work for Bailey Group, they would leisurely start exercising. Sometimes, they would even attend a few evening parties. When we came the next morning, they would be sleeping. The deception was perfect. Was he afraid Joanna would divorce him? I asked. Yes, Justin nodded. What did he do, and what did you do? You seem quite scared too. He supposedly had an affair, Justin said, quickly adding when he saw my expression change. But I believe my brother isn't that kind of person. I scoffed coldly. What does your belief matter? My brother is really quite clueless when it comes to relationships. But he has very strong self-discipline. He would never have an affair. I didn't say anything. I asked him, what about you? Justin immediately hugged my legs. I'm purely innocent. He burst into tears. Baby, your best friend wants a divorce, and you want one too. You said I'm just like my brother, and you want to go with Joanna, leaving me and the children behind. Justin brought the child over, along with a photo album. Look, these are our wedding photos, honeymoon pictures. And here's us on a road trip to Scotland with little Emma. Justin pointed out each photo to me. I stiffly held the little girl, looking at her delicate yet familiar features. She was well behaved, staring at me for a moment before tilting her head and smiling. Mummy, I have a child. 21, no, I'm already 26. I still couldn't believe it. Until Justin took out his phone and showed me today's date. July 29th, 2024. No wonder Ms. Bailey didn't let us use phones, computers, or watch TV, and restricted our personal freedom. Come to think of it, for over a year, I haven't really spoken to anyone except Joanna and the Bailey family. Mummy, why aren't you talking to me? The little girl whined softly. I hugged her tightly. Am I really your mom? Aren't you? She tilted her head, confused, despite being only 3 years old. It was surprising that she could call me Mum so intimately after not seeing me for a year. Yes, she's Mummy, she's Mummy. Emma, give Mummy a kiss. Justin urged from the side. Emma planted a kiss on my cheek. My heart melted, and I hugged her even tighter. Then, I called my mentor, whom I hadn't contacted in a long time. The male voice was gruff, opening with, "Remember now?" "No, Mr. Smith, you knew about this too. Why didn't you tell me?" They had their methods, of course I listened to them. Calculating, Mr. Smith must be 80 years old now, unable to manage too many affairs. I felt a bit sad. Mr. Smith continued, "I'm old, not much time left. You've been with me for 8 years and haven't learned even the basics. Just enjoy your life with the Baileys, understand? Justin treats you well. I've calculated it too, you'll have a good life with him. A teacher for a day, a father for life." When I was 14, I escaped from the orphanage with Joanna. Then I became an apprentice to the old fortune teller under the bridge. Back then, he was harsh and sharp-tongued, keeping me constantly on edge. I couldn't stand it sometimes and even hated him. But in the end, it was this grumpy but kind-hearted old man who gave us a place to stay and taught me how to make money. He even insisted on sending Joanna to school when he found out she was a good student, although I had to pay back the school fees. Thinking back, tears started streaming down my face uncontrollably. "Are you at home? I'd like to come see you." "I am. Bring me a few packs of Marlboro when you come. And let that Bailey fellow pay for it." Justin wiped my tears and eagerly replied, "Of course, and we'll bring you some good whiskey too." After meeting Mr. Smith, I insisted that Justin take me to see Joanna. He wanted to call Lehman, but I stopped him. "I want to surprise them. I need to see what Lehman is up to," I said firmly. Seeing my stern expression, Justin nodded nervously. The car stopped in front of a secluded villa in the woods. Justin skillfully used his fingerprint to open the door. He looked at me hesitantly. "Lorna, my brother, he has an unusual way of expressing his feelings." It seemed like he was trying to prepare me. I frowned, even though I had mentally prepared myself. The moment the door opened, I was overwhelmed with rage and shock. Joanna sat on the edge of the bed, reading a book. She wore a long white cotton dress, her right wrist shackled by an iron chain. When she saw me, she exclaimed, "Lorna, what are you doing here? I wouldn't have known you were chained up if I hadn't come. You lied to me, saying you wanted to stay here." I was furious, tugging at the chain attached to the bedpost. It wouldn't budge. I turned to glare at Justin. "Bring me the key." Justin was startled and quickly nodded. Only Joanna and I were left in the room. I stared at her, my eyes welling up. "Justin said you've remembered everything, but I still don't know anything. Knowing too much isn't always good." Joanna gently wiped the corner of my eye. "Justin said you misunderstood that Lehman was cheating and wanted a divorce. Lehman refused, so I took you and ran, which led to the car accident." "That's about right." "What do you mean about right?" Joanna explained softly. "It means he didn't lie. But what he doesn't know is that Lehman's affair wasn't a misunderstanding. Lehman Bailey had a first love. It was a classic tale of high school romance, passionate and all-consuming, until his sweetheart chose to study abroad and end their relationship at the peak of their love. Last year, his first love returned to the country. After reconnecting, they began meeting frequently. "I'm not a jealous person, nor do I make baseless assumptions," Joanna said. She put down her book and sat me down beside her. "I know Lehman loves me. But I'm also aware that he still has feelings for that woman. Lorna, I can't accept my husband being emotionally or physically unfaithful to our family and me. He hasn't reached the point of physical infidelity yet. It's just his upbringing and values pulling him in different directions. Do you understand what I mean?" Of course, I did. I nodded vigorously. Joanna stroked my hair. "You've already argued with Justin and threatened divorce because of my situation. In the end, it's my selfishness, wanting to leave but dragging you along." "That's not true." "If I go with you, it'll be entirely my choice." Joanna looked deeply saddened. When she's upset, she unconsciously curls her lips, but her eyes remain still with sorrow. I roughly massaged her face, trying to rub away her melancholy expression. Joanna couldn't help but laugh at my actions. Justin finally found the key and unlocked the chain. I asked Joanna, "What do you plan to do now?" As soon as I finished speaking, Justin beside me tensed up. He locked his gaze on Joanna, swallowed hard, and quietly moved closer to me, attempting to grab my hand. I swatted his hand away with a sharp slap. Seeing this, Joanna laughed. "I'd like to spend some time with Joe. After that, we'll take it one step at a time." Justin let out a long sigh of relief. While we were still chatting, Lehman had already rushed back from the company. He approached with large strides, his face stern. The newcomer didn't look friendly. I immediately stood in front of Joanna to shield her. Justin, as if adding a protective layer, then stepped in front of me. "Lehman, calm down," Justin exclaimed. Lehman's eyes swept over us as he spoke in a deep voice. "What should I be calm about?" Justin held his head. Joanna hasn't left, don't go mad. She's still here, obediently. If this happens again, I'll really lose my wife. I grasped the key point. What do you mean? If I'm not here, you just let your brother go crazy? Huh? That's not what I meant. Justin turned around, taking my hand and skillfully acting coy. Baby, don't be angry with me. I tried to pull my hand away but couldn't. I could only grit my teeth and say spitefully, do you think you're still 6 years old? There's a limit to acting like a child. Justin whined, but this is how I've always been. Lehman closed his eyes impatiently and pushed his brother. Move aside. Justin was pushed forcefully, pulling me to stand aside with him. I was terrified, thinking Lehman was going to use force. I hadn't noticed what he was holding in his hand. The tips of his ears turned red as he raised his hand. Strawberry cake, from that trendy shop. Bloody hell! I turned my head to look at Justin, who had cursed. He pointed at Lehman. Leah, where did you learn that? Have you finally caught on? Lehman ignored him, only holding out the cake in front of Joanna. After a moment of silence, Joanna accepted it. She pulled me aside to eat with her. I took a couple of bites. Seeing her lack of appetite, I asked with concern. Do you dislike him so much that you don't want to eat? Joanna shook her head gently. It's not that. She looked at the cake in front of her, which was indeed the kind she liked. Lorna, how did he suddenly become so thoughtful? Did his first love teach him? I didn't know. I shook my head honestly. Joanna began to feel sad on her own. In my current memories, I had never seen Joanna so upset over a relationship. I had never seen her in this state before. Back then, she was in school, and I was earning money. The two of us planned that when we saved enough money, we would buy a house. Once we had a house, we would have a place to belong. So to earn money, I was willing to do anything. I was obsessed with money. But I never thought that 5 years later, while we seemed to have everything, Joanna would be unhappy because of relationship issues. I said softly, Joanna, if you want to leave, take me with you. She looked up at me. I continued, don't think too much about it. We grew up together, I'll be with you. But if we leave this time, we have to take the children. I have money now. I took out my phone and showed Joanna the balance. I grinned. I didn't expect I'd be quite well off 5 years later. Joanna smiled. I saw Joanna's child, an adorable little boy. He clung to Joanna's side, sweetly calling me auntie. On the way back, Justin seemed shaken. You're not allowed to run off with Joanna anymore, he said, his eyes still glistening with tears. He gripped my hand again and said hoarsely, this isn't fair to me. Outside the car window, the dazzling city lights were a bit blinding. I haven't done anything wrong. It's okay if you think Joanna is more important, but it's not a choice between her and me. And Emma, she's even more innocent in all this. I pondered. Justin was right. I just believed my brother back then, thought he wasn't the type to cheat. But you got angry and wanted a divorce. Lorna, I'm really upset about this. He continued talking to himself. I also realized something wasn't right. Perhaps Justin and I didn't have such a good marriage. And I brought up divorce when I got angry. But I would never abandon my child. As someone who grew up in an orphanage, I know all too well how pitiful it is to grow up without a parent's love. How could I have left my child behind to run away with Joanna? Justin, is there something else you're not telling me? Justin froze. No, there isn't. I don't believe it. Just because I've lost my memory doesn't mean I don't know myself. If it were simply Justin siding with his brother, I wouldn't be foolish enough to leave my child behind. But Joanna also says I had an argument with Justin about this, which led to the divorce. There are too many factors at play. I toss and turn in bed, constantly processing the information I've received over the past 2 days. Emma has been taken back by Ms. Bailey. Justin tried to take advantage of the situation and get into bed, but I kicked him off. He looks dejected. Baby. He starts. I'm 21-year-old Lorna Miller now, and I'm single. Go away. I say, hugging my pillow to sleep. Justin gapes, is that how it works? Isn't it? I was single when I was 21. Justin falls silent. He grabs a pillow and reluctantly leaves the room, grumbling all the way. 20 minutes later. There's a knock on the door. I'm about to fall asleep and irritably shout, "Stop knocking." The knocking continues. I try to ignore it but finally get up. I open the door, ready to scold whoever it is. "Does the single Ms. Miller require any services?" A man's warm voice asks, accompanied by a charming smile. Justin stands there in a suit, the top buttons of his shirt undone, revealing a glimpse of his pale, toned chest. He's already handsome, but his smile makes it impossible to look away. The curse words die on my lips. "It's free of charge." "Are you interested?" he asks again. Uniform seduction. Uniform seduction. I swallow hard, my body moving faster than my mind as I step aside to open the door. Justin's eyes flash with mischief as he enters triumphantly, looking smug. He immediately takes off his jacket, muttering, "It's so hot." "Ms. Miller, could you turn down the air conditioning?" I'm already bewitched by his good looks. Then, Justin takes my hand. He bends down and gently kisses my fingers. Looking up, he asks in his captivating voice, "Would you like to try?" "Try what?" Justin grins wickedly. His lips move, but no sound comes out. Something naughty. The next day. I, Lorna Miller, a 21-year-old single good girl, was no longer single. Justin hugged me, chuckling, "Baby, did you enjoy this play?" I thought back and nodded. No wonder I ended up marrying Justin and having children with him. Though he might not seem very mature, he certainly had his advantages in certain areas. Justin was delighted by my affirmation. "Let's try something different next time," I said. "Brilliant." Justin added, "I'll definitely perform even better." "That's not necessary. This is quite good as it is." "All right then." He seemed a bit disappointed. I stayed with Justin for a month, playing with Emma when I had free time. Occasionally, I'd visit Justin at his company. In the company's restroom. Before I could leave, a stunning woman in a red dress grabbed my hair. Her eyes were fierce as she dragged me into a toilet cubicle. She slammed the door shut and locked it. "Well, if it isn't Ms. Lorna Miller." "Still alive, I see." The woman hissed through clenched teeth. I looked at her, not recognizing her. Curious about what she meant, I raised an eyebrow and said, "What's this about?" The woman sneered, "I thought you were dead." "I'm not dead." "What do you want?" As soon as I finished speaking, the woman lifted the toilet lid and grabbed the back of my head, trying to shove my face into the toilet. She kept cursing, "You think you're so clever, don't you? Trying to ruin me? Ha! You think I'm afraid of you? That idiot Joanna sent you to deal with me, but do you really think it'll work? Lehman loves me. No matter what you and Joanna do, he won't get rid of me. If you're smart, you'll divorce him yourself." I got the gist of it. Hearing Joanna being called an idiot made my blood boil. I instinctively retorted, "If Lehman really loved you, you wouldn't be acting like a two-faced snake. Use your brain for once. You're living in your own fantasy world, thinking you're irresistible." The woman's arm hesitated. I quickly escaped her grip, stood up, and closed the toilet lid. I pushed her head against the lid and slammed it down a few times. Then I opened the lid again. "Here, have a drink," I said coldly. I remembered. Before the car accident, I took Joanna to meet Linda Collins, Lehman's first love. This woman deliberately provoked Joanna in front of her. The manipulative flirt making Joanna anxious. Joanna thought Lehman was having an affair. I initially sided with her against Linda, even arguing with Justin several times because of it. Later, I realized that given Lehman's emotional intelligence, he wouldn't engage in flirting or affairs. After some investigation, I discovered it was Linda who was causing trouble. Even though Lehman noticed something was off and stopped working with her, she kept showing off the ring he gave her when they were young. And when Lehman was away on business, she deliberately created the illusion for Joanna that she was with him. Neither Lehman nor Joanna would speak up about it. That day I was driving, cursing Lehman under my breath, while planning to bring Linda face to face with the couple for a three-way discussion to resolve the issue. As for Linda, I had already given her a stern warning. If I hadn't lost my memory after the accident, I would have taught that wretched woman a lesson by now. I dragged Linda, her hair dripping wet, into Lehman's office. He frowned. "What's she doing here?" I dropped her on the floor. "She snuck in. Haven't you noticed her constantly coming and going from your company?" Lehman remained silent. The Bailey Group headquarters was a massive building. It wasn't possible to monitor every corner. Even with security measures in place, some still slipped through the cracks. I called Joanna to come in. Pointing at the drenched troublemaker on the floor, I said, "You two, from now on, speak up. Sort out everything about this woman between yourselves." With that, I walked out coolly. Justin was already waiting outside with clean clothes. He was thoughtful. "Baby, why don't you go to my restroom for a shower and change?" I nodded, as I'd gotten quite splashed while grabbing Linda. Justin was excited. "Now that Lehman and Joanna have cleared things up, does this mean you won't be getting divorced?" His eyes were sparkling. I chuckled coldly, "Not necessarily." I patted his cheek. "I remember everything now, including all the mischief you've caused." Justin visibly froze, gradually turning to stone. Justin has nodules in his lungs. The doctor advised him not to smoke. But he's an old smoker, and even after my repeated warnings to quit, he still sneaks a cigarette now and then. The home security camera has caught him several times. This was the real reason for our argument with Justin that time. Of course, I wouldn't divorce Justin over this. It was purely to scare him for fun. Justin hugged me, saying, "I've already quit, don't be angry." "Really?" I asked. "I know you mean well." I was wrong to argue last time. As I recall, someone said he had no freedom left. I do. I have too much freedom. Having a wife is the greatest freedom. Justin knows just how to pacify me. After my shower, I changed into fresh clothes. I found Justin sitting on the sofa in the lounge, holding a document. I bent down and took it from him. "What's this?" Justin smiled shyly, biting his lip. "Baby, want to play boss and employee? You be the boss, I'll be the naughty employee." I replied, "All right then." I fully understand why I would fall for Justin. He knows my preferences so well. And he often surprises me with little gestures. While he seems quite childish most of the time, he has another side that comes out when it matters. Quite impressive, really. I'm very satisfied. Epilogue. Once Linda was sent away, Joanna and Lehman finally opened up to each other. The two quiet souls entered a new phase of passionate romance. So passionate that they would blush just by seeing each other. Justin sighed dramatically, constantly reminding me that he was the one who suffered the most in this year-long farce. Because his brother almost lost his wife, spent a whole year in the hospital, and pretended to be a fool for months. I rolled my eyes at him. The children are the most pitiful. In reality, Joe and Emma hardly care about us. With 6 nannies and Ms. Bailey's loving care, they've almost forgotten about the rest of us odd folks. Justin pointed at Emma, who was laughing heartily while watching Hey Doug G. "You call her pitiful?" "She's laughing every waking moment." I couldn't be bothered to respond. During our road trip, I pulled Joanna aside and asked, "That first love of his isn't causing trouble anymore, is she?" Joanna blushed. She wasn't his first love. "What?" "It's a bit complicated, but Lehman and I have talked it through. I trust him now." My gaze lowered, scanning the red marks on her neck. "Trust is good, but Joanna, you two might want to tone it down a bit. It's quite obvious." Joanna playfully swatted at me, embarrassed. We both looked towards the twin brothers in the distance. They were watching the children while occasionally chatting. The sun was setting over the sea, waves crashing rhythmically. Our tumultuous emotions had finally found their anchor. "It's all good now."